So 2 days ago, the Novak C mission was launched, so on February 15th, 2024, and it is on its way to the moon. So let's talk about this mission that will bring us some new information about the moon, but also as part of the Artemis 2 project that one Canadian and four astronauts will be going to the moon in 2025 if everything works out. So let's see if we can have a look at this mission. So this is a company. So keeping in mind that this Novak C mission is a private mission, it is working with NASA, but overall we have a company that is putting together, uh, let's see, a probe to go around the moon and eventually land on the moon. And guess what? It will be this coming week. I think they're planning for February 22nd or so. So let's see what we have today. So the company is called Intuitive Machines. And this company, we have here the logo of the Novak C, has sent their mission. So let's see if we can get to know a little bit more information from the NASA website. So here we have this machine. We called it Novak C. It is a lander. That means that it was a launch, but ultimately, next week, we want to see it land on the moon. I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, Japan sent one of their landers. It ended up landing on its side. We're going to see today how come it's so hard to land on the moon. So let's see. This launch was done with a Falcon 9 rocket from SpaceX. And the reason why we needed such a great rocket is that the overall lander weighed about 1,900 kilograms. That's about 2 tons of materials to send into space. So the way the dimension works, it's about 1.57 meters wide and about 4 meters high. So let's see if we can have a quick look at the lander. Oh, and before we go, let's see if we can look at some of the payload on that lander. So we've got some equipment to figure out the landing. So that means there's several laser. There's also navigation demonstrators. And the whole idea here is one of the key mission is to be able to land that lander in a precise location, and it needs a lot of information. Also, some probes about radio wave observations because there's no atmosphere on the moon, so that's a great place to do observations of stars and galaxies. We also have some sensors to give us some ideas on what the gas at the surface of the moon, because keep in mind that one of the reasons we're sending this lunar lander is to better study the composition of the soil to help us with the Artemis 2 mission. Keep in mind, we are looking for water and water that we can extract from the soil. So let's see if we can continue. So we have here, so this happened on the 15th of February, so 2 days ago. So the rocket Falcon 9 was launched. We can see here the rocket, it was able to be released. We have the 6 legs here of the lander. That was a success for separation right here. And let's see. Where is it? I had a great look earlier. Let's see. Is it the mission here? I think that's this mission. It is. So here, if you look at why do they use a Falcon 9? So the Falcon 9 has a tip here that is quite big, and it allowed to keep this lander in. Now, if you look at the lander, this was the video for the launch on February 15th, and here is the lander. So here the lander, you can see. So first of all, we have indeed some solar panels for electricity. And if I remember well, it has up to 200 watts of nominal power. Now here, as you can see, we said it was 1.5 meters in diameter and 4 meters high. So you'll see that all along its outer surface, we have all the sensors, all the detectors we need. So some of these are quite important. So first of all, we need another solar panel. So this will be facing the sun for electricity. We also have dishes to send information back to the planet, possibly looking at radio waves from stars and galaxies. And here what we have a variety of sensors that will tell us information about the moon, but also mostly to get this lander on the moon. Keep in mind that as it will get towards the moon, there's a few things going on. First of all, there is no atmosphere, so there's no atmosphere to slow down this lander. Second, it will need energy and fuel to be able to land. So if you look at this overall lander, it weighs about 1,900 kilograms. We said the payload. So all these sensors from different companies and NASA, they are weighing about 100 kilograms. So about 5% of the weight is the actual experiments and sensors. So you're going to see what happened to the other 1,800 kilograms. As you can see, the sensors are on the outside because inside here, you need the fuel and oxygen to be able to land that thing. So we have the legs here. Now, keeping in mind that when it gets towards the moon, let's see if I had a great map earlier. It's this one right here. So I'm going to hide this one here. Can I make this a little bit bigger? I think that'd be fun. Nope, I don't think it's possible. Okay, so here we had the launch of that lander. It's on its way to Earth. I think yesterday it was at 270,000 kilometers from Earth, so it's on its way. And here, once it gets to the moon, it will go into orbit. And here the altitude will be quite small, it will be about 100 kilometers. Now, keeping in mind that the moon is smaller than Earth, therefore, the gravity is smaller. So here it will go and do some orbit, and eventually it's going to land. But when it lands, it needs a few things. First of all, there's no GPS system on the moon. So we need to have laser detection on the surface. So they'll be able to map the surface so that eventually they'll be able to recognize specific craters they want to land, specific craters that will lead them to the landing position right here. So knowing there's no atmosphere, that means that the lander will not be slowed down that way. We cannot use a parachute. It will need all the energy necessary to be able to slow down here. Keep in mind that since there's no oxygen, here the rocket needs its own fuel and its own oxygen to make sure it works. Now, 2 weeks ago, I did a video on SLIM. That was a Japanese launch, and I'm going to put a link at the top here if you're interested. Otherwise, it's on the channel. And when they were able to reach the moon and land within the 100 meters square they wanted to land, it ended up having difficulties with the telemetry, and it ended up resting, have its final resting on its side. So some difficulties there, and I'm sure one day someone will go and put it back on its leg. So here the big goal here is to be able to go to the moon and to be able to land in its 6 legs. So we'll see what happens here. Because keeping in mind that when we are going to have missions to the moon and going more often, we need to be able to go, we need to be able to know about resources, but we need to also maximize success of landing where we want and not kilometers away to where possible settlements will be in the future. So that's something to keep in mind. Perfect. So let's see if we have the next step. So here, this is the visible side of the moon. So they will be landing on the southern side of the moon here. So here there are 3 other projects from, so 2 projects from this company. Okay, just because I want to say it, I forgot already, the Intuitive Machines company. And there's a 3rd one from Astrobotics Griffin Mission 1. The reason why the southern pole is interesting, so first of all, there is light that is happening there, but there are also, as you can see, craters and crevices. So what happens is that the lander will be able to land, and it will start studying to see, is there any water close to the ground? So in the future, the more and more we want to go to see if we can find water on the ground in those areas where it's always shaded, and therefore we're looking for water in a crystalline state or mixed with some of the soil. And the reason for that is if we can find water that humans need to live, if we can find water and through electrolysis we'll be able to separate hydrogen and oxygen, this will give us oxygen for the astronauts, but the hydrogen and oxygen will be able to be used as a fuel for heat and eventually be able to leave the ground on the moon. Keeping in mind that if you have to carry less fuel, then it's less expensive. And that's all part of what they're going to with this mission. So it's quite exciting. So here we have this mission here, and we show that there's a different payload. I'm going to put links in the description of this video, and you'll be able to go and see, keeping in mind that we have an opportunity as a company to help scientists, universities, and research group. So let's see. I was looking at the company per se, and if you look, this is the ground control, and you can see this is the leadership team. The reason why I want to show that is to show that we have amazing humans, but there's room for more humans that we can have there. So if you are studying, interested in the space exploration and technology to go to the moon, you can see that we can all be, and there's room for many more women indeed in STEM, and also have more diversity in the team. So this is a hint for people that say, well, is there a place for me? There is certainly a place, and you need to focus on being the best to be part of the best. And here I noticed it was interesting. This side here is Ride With Us. And it's because as a company, they're looking for ways to make money. And here there's a section for investors. So it says that if you're searching for a ride to the lunar surface or any other of the 3 core business units, please fill out the form below and someone from our team will contact you. This is here a business, and they are making money in going to the moon. So you see, it's no longer just a government companies, but there's opportunities for private company to do this and having return on investment. And this is the first activity, the first part, let's see, where is it? I had a great look. I don't know where it is. There it is. And this is our first segment for today. If you have any clarification questions about exploring space, investing, you can put in comment below. I'll do the best I can to answer your questions, and I use your questions to make those shows on Saturday morning. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to click the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, because we have here weekly shows, a weekly show on science and space exploration topics I like, and above all, I'm answering questions from the public. So be here, it's amazing. And on this, I'm going to put a link to another video right here where you're going to learn something new.